I finally finished watching the entire series of Attack on Titan specifically for this video, Season 4, for the second time, and it has been an incredible journey watching this again. It has been an absolute pleasure experiencing this again. I do believe Attack on Titan to be objectively the greatest piece of fiction ever told, the best story ever told, and this just solidified it even more, man. I enjoyed watching it on my second time, so today we are going to be breaking down the entirety of Season 4 for you, and I cannot wait to talk about it. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with too many YouTube channels. So we start off with Season 4, and I didn't know that this was a universal experience until I started seeing TikToks and memes and things like that. I did the same thing because the art style was just a little bit different, which I had no problem with. I thought the art style looked nice. I did prefer it the way it was before, but it wasn't like a drastic change where it bothered me. I still thought it looked very pretty, and it was still fit the Attack on Titan style, but it was different enough where I was like, huh. And then we were watching all these characters in a different war that I actually stopped watching it. And the first time I'm talking about it, I actually stopped watching it, and then I had to double check that I was watching Attack on Titan. And we're brought into the scene. We're introduced to our new characters, primarily Gabby, Falco. I wish at the time I appreciated Gabby's character a little bit more because I didn't hate her like everybody else did. I was waiting to see what Eren was up to. I was waiting to see what the scouts were up to, and I didn't find myself too interested in what was going on with the entire picture. And watching this a second time, I get this, and I also, I fell in love with Gabby's story too. She ended up being one of my favorite characters in Attack on Titan. I loved her parallel to Eren and everything like that. So I enjoyed the rewatch with her a lot more than I did the first time around. But like I said, I got a little bit off track. Like for the opening episode, we have the whole scene with the train. We're finally introduced after a while to Reiner and Zeke and what's going on. It was a very fun scene. It was very cool to see actually the other side of the sea. But after all of that, after experiencing that the humans are building Titan killing weapons now, Titans won't exactly be as relevant in war. So they need to go back to parity. They need to continue their mission, and they need to get the founding Titan as they once wanted to. Now, after that, there was a lot of planning going on to what exactly they're gonna do. They need to figure out that okay, does parity actually control at least 2 of our Titans, whatever the number was that they were actually worried about that. But there was a lot of planning that goes into it. But we were also experiencing the eyes of the other side, how much Gabby actually hated the Island Devils, and I loved watching that, watching the brainwashing, watching what happens when you start indoctrinating kids, things like that. It's the complete opposite to Eren. I loved all of that. I particularly loved the dinner that Gabby had with Reiner, where Gabby's a little bit confused because Reiner's oh, there's all sorts of people over there, and then he had to kind of sit back and be oh yeah, those filthy Island Devils, or whatever he said, right? Something along those lines. I loved all of that. I thought that was great, and I liked seeing, like I said, I liked seeing the other side of this. And with Reiner, we got an entire backstory, and that just elevated my love for Reiner even more because you felt so bad for the guy. You had the entire story about him, his father, the Titan, passing on the Titan, all of that. I loved, and I thought it was absolutely heartbreaking what Reiner had to go through, and this dude was ready to just blow his brains out, but I think it was Falco that stopped him. He's I need to live for them, whatever he said, something along those lines. Again, the exact details of what the characters were saying are a little bit fuzzy to me, but it all got very interesting very quickly, but I loved it even more on my second watch because I already knew all of this and I wasn't so all right, what's Eren up to, But now as we continue on, we're introduced to Mr. Kruger, and I'm stupid enough to tell you that when I was first watching the show, I wasn't 100% certain that was Eren because I was completely confused about how he got over there, why he was missing a leg, all of that stuff. But Mr. Kruger obviously ended up being Eren, and he had poor Falco end up delivering mail to all of the scouts for a planned attack. And it wasn't until they set this up perfectly, man. And again, I love the way that they're making drawing parallels to things. I love that Eren became the Reiner of Marley. When Falco brought Reiner down to that basement, Eren was just sitting there. It was one of the most tense moments in the entire show, where Falco didn't know what was going on, and Reiner knowing what's about to come, and slowly watching Eren actually transform as the Marleyans are declaring war. Watching that, along with Reiner having those flashbacks and actually feeling guilt for what he ended up going through, Eren becoming the same horrible Titan that he saw in season 1, I thought was just beautiful storytelling, man. And him going on a rampage, The Warhammer Titan coming out and having that entire fight was great too. One of the best fights in Attack on Titan, I will say. The scouts coming in to save the day. We figured out what all the what the messages were for. Levi comes in, just takes out the Beast Titan like it's no problem. So it was pretty well like Eren versus the Warhammer. That was super cool. We know Eren has the Founding Titan now, and he just wants to get the Warhammer's power. And just all of that. And we got to see the other Titans too. We got to see the Cart Titan. We got to see the Jaw Titan in action. And when Eren figured out, dude, where I guess, what do you call it? The crystallization, whatever the crystal was. The girl in the crystal, whoever's in charge of the Warhammer Titan, right? When he figured that out and he made the Jaw Titan, he smash it, dude. Oh my God, Eren, he is so ruthless, dude. But all of that was great. It was one of the best fight scenes in Attack on Titan, in my opinion. It got me so hyped, and this is what I was waiting for the first time watching around, because I was like, where's Eren? What is he doing? And I typically don't watch shows week to week because I hate waiting on cliffhangers. I was so invested in the show that I had to sit on it, because I remember one of those episodes ended with Eren transforming, right? And I was like, are you kidding me? We finally get to see Eren transform. You're going to make me wait another week for this? And I had to wait extra long because I want to watch the English version. But anyways, after the fight kind of settles down, Gabby, and I forgot to mention that too. Oh my God. One of the most underrated moments in Attack on Titan is, and whoever is the voice actor for Gabby, oh my God, is she great. When they didn't know what else to do, when Eren was like consuming the Warhammer Titan and Gabby's just yelling, Rhina! Like, I couldn't even begin to like emulate whatever kind of vocals came out of that actor's voice. It just, the pain, the fear, it was so convincing that I legitimately think it's one of the most underrated pieces in Attack on Titan, when Gabby and Falco were screaming in that war zone for Reiner to come save them, and Reiner's just like so done with life, dude. He's just like, leave me alone, and he ended up transforming one more time, saving saving the Jaw Titan before Eren. Was Eren going to consume it or kill it? Regardless, didn't matter. That was so underrated. But Gabby continued on. They all got in their airship. I don't remember where they got an airship from, but Armin was also turning into the Colossal Titan. Their entire plan ended up working out, right? And then when Gabby actually ended up getting onto the ship and shooting Sasha, that was also another moment that really made us go, oh boy, because Sasha's a fan favorite character, right? And it's so interesting. And what's crazy about this is this happens in war too, where Gabby's like, yes, I got him. Yes, I shot the Island Devil. Yes. And then she has to watch everybody cry over her because maybe they're not just Island Devils. And then Eren's reaction was weird to it too. I didn't look too much into it at the time, but now we know it's just Eren knowing exactly what's happening and Eren coming to terms that everything is determined and he wasn't sure at this moment. It's funny watching this a second time, right? Because I didn't look into Eren laughing about this the first time, and now I'm like, oh, look at that. And then Gabby's like getting the crap kicked out of her on the ship after shooting Sasha, and Sasha's dead, and that was a very, very tough moment to watch. Now, in between this and the next moment that I want to talk about, there's really not much to really go over. There's a little bit of there's a little bit of flashbacks explaining what's going on and what happened, because I think this took place 4 years after the last season, and like what was going on, who started showing up. We got introduced to like Yellen and all of them. Yellen I wasn't really as invested in, to be honest with you, but it wasn't until, and another moment that I wanted to stop on in something, again, that just flies over your head the first time watching it, is Eren and Hanji in the cell. Eren's all locked up. He's just willingly staying there. And Hanji was criticizing him, yelling at him. And Eren's like, if you know something I don't, tell me what it is. And he's like angry, panicking almost. And it's funny, again, looking at this and watching this for a second time, knowing Eren was legitimately looking for a way to get out of this trap that he's in. But we know Eren's working with Zeke, and the scouts are getting divided because Armin and Mikasa still want to talk to Eren, but people think that Eren is just wanting to, they don't know what he's up to, they don't trust him anymore. On top of that, Historia is revealed to be pregnant, and I don't know if Eren really liked that. I think he's kind of looking at her like a slave, which he doesn't want to. He wants Historia to be free. He loves Historia. But then we kind of take a pause from all of that, and again, another episode that I really loved, and this is why Attack on Titan is so good, man, because you're taking me on this journey with other characters that were just introduced now, and you're taking us away from characters that have been so interesting to us from the beginning. I loved the episode with Gabby and Falco finding Kaya, because you got to have that entire thing. You had Gabby still under the impression like, all these people are Island Devils, you can't trust them. And I mean, to be honest with you, like, it's good not to trust people, especially if you're on a foreign island, but You get the point where Kaya was, and it's a touchy subject to talk about because I know people can equate it to something that I am not going to equate it to, but it's like, okay, why are you angry at me? Why am I the devil? What do I have to do with anything that my ancestors did? And then Gabby got kind of shut down because Kaya is completely correct, and anybody who has the just blind hatred for people that Gabby does and just obsessed with like, oh, well, this person did this and I'm blaming you for this. It's so wrong and so backwards, but you feel bad for Gabby because she's been so indoctrinated. You're watching her whole worldview shattering around her, and she's kind of just shutting down, doesn't know what to do. And it was like very tough to watch. Super cool. Loved that entire episode and the tensions between them. And then it's a little bit like out of sorts, but I think it's probably best to touch on this too, like the entire thing with Niccolo too, and him loving Sasha, but it's like, how could you love this island devil, right? She's like the only one that appreciated my food. He looked at Sasha as a human, and Gabby's like, how's that possible? And he got so angry about Sasha that he was going to kill his own Marleyan warrior, and all of that ended up leading to Falco drinking some of Zeke's spinal fluid, which wasn't the greatest thing. Other than that, at this time too, the Jaegers started forming. Aaron broke out of jail, obviously. And then I think I'm skipping a little bit too, but it was super weird, like, how they were looking for Aaron this entire time and wondering what's going on, and then all of a sudden, Mikasa and Armin are sitting at a table, and just Aaron strolls in out of nowhere, right? That was all pretty funny to watch, to be honest with you. But then we actually finally get the conversation with Aaron, because the first time watching this, you're kind of like, what's going on with Aaron? Nobody really understands what's happening. Now, obviously, we do, right? Like, or at least I do upon my second watch. And the other thing that was hard to watch, too, is just Aaron sitting down going, I always hated you, Mikasa. That type of stuff. Armin freaking out, and actually Armin starting a fight with him, but then Aaron just beating the crap out of Armin. There was so much about this entire season that was difficult to watch, and I didn't believe it the first time around, because if you happen to be following the channel for a while, I made my authentic reactions and prediction to the final chapters because I was watching season 4 in real time, but prior to that, I kind of just binged Attack on Titan up until season 4 in the release. I didn't think that Aaron was going to go through the rumbling. I thought that Aaron was still like, I mean, depending on how you want to look at it, I still think like Aaron was a good guy. I just thought there was something that we weren't really piecing together. But no, he was just a victim of freedom, I guess he would say. But then we pause because we have that moment with Levi in the forest, again, taking down Zeke. I enjoyed that too. I enjoyed every single time that Zeke and Levi were together, because Zeke was like reading the book and he's like, oh yeah, you do whatever you have to do, Levi. Yeah, I'm just here reading my book. And then all of a sudden it's like, he's just running away again. He's screaming, and everybody ended up getting turned into a Titan, which was very sad to watch. And Levi just slayed them all. And he's like, you monster. And Zeke's like, I can't get away from this guy. And that I really liked. I liked all of the times that Levi actually got a one-up on Zeke. I like that Zeke never really, besides like the thing with the Thunder Spear that we're going to be talking about, I liked that Levi just had his way with him every single time, tried to get away again, and Levi just had enough. He's like, you just ruined everybody, right? And what's crazy is like Levi didn't want to bring alcohol in the mission too, but everybody ended up drinking the spinal fluid. Levi didn't drink, and Levi ended up taking down the Beast Titan again, easily, torturing Zeke, but he ended up, I would think he tried to transform with the Thunder Spear, but that, and we weren't sure at the time if that ended up killing Levi, but Zeke ended up getting away barely. In between that, we get a whole backstory on Zeke, and I loved that look into his character too, you know, the entire thing with the baseball, how he got the Beast Titan, who he was, all of that type of stuff, and I liked seeing like a young Reiner, Bertolt, and Annie as well. But after that, we get into another really, really drawn out battle, and I mean drawn out in like the best way, where Aaron ends up getting brought to that rooftop, and we finally get to see Aaron's Titan actually have a proper battle. And I was waiting for this for so long, and I think this was the episode called Judgment? For some reason, I remember that. I could be, I'm going to look so stupid if it wasn't Judgment, but you get my point. There was an episode titled Judgment. I don't know if it was that one, but it was like the halfway through season that I had to wait for even longer for the English part to come out. And I was like, come on, dude, because one of the episodes ended up with Aaron actually transforming. He was like, all right, show me where the enemy is. And Peak just goes right at Aaron. And then we see this amazing fight. We get to see Reiner back. We get to see Aaron use the Warhammer Titan. There's not too much we can break down about the battle, but my dude, I remember watching this at 4 in the morning because I was so obsessed with this show. I was left speechless when Gabby ended up blowing Aaron's head off. And I love that she landed the shot too. I love that. She was like, Aaron was about to succeed, and then Gabby's just like, And I don't know about you guys. Please let me know if I'm just an idiot or if you actually agree with me down below. I wasn't sure if Eren was actually going to die there because that's something Attack on Titan would do. Attack on Titan has constantly just taken our expectations and just chucked them into another universe. So I was like, you know, Eren might actually be dead here. And they really let you sit on it too, with the head just flying out. And I was like, did Eren just die? After Zeke was like, come on, we're so close, right? After everything that they just went through with that giant battle, all they needed to do was make contact. Gabi blows this dude's head off. So like, okay. So that's how everybody survives. The rumbling doesn't actually start. I thought he was done. I thought he was done for it. I wasn't like convinced. But then, of course, they actually did end up making contact. And Eren, at this moment, was alive. And we're kind of left on like, is Eren actually dead? But probably not. But they did make contact right before Eren's brain ended up shutting off. And then all of a sudden, we're introduced to paths. And I've always thought that that was just beautiful. I'm a big fan of like artwork and stuff. I love the imagery of the paths. I love the sand. I love the stars. I love like the tree. I love the way that Ymir was drawn. We're introduced to Founder Ymir too, which was like, what the hell? We get an explanation from everything from Zeke. And we had the big cool moment where Eren was like, I can't believe that you ever thought that I would euthanize my people. How could you think I could go along with such a plan? And I was like, yes, sir. Eren's on our side. Let's go. I knew he was always a good guy. But then Zeke was in control the entire time. And Eren couldn't do anything about it. So we end up getting dragged through all of the past memories because Zeke actually does care about Eren. He's like, where could you have gone wrong? And we can break down like all of the different memories that they went through. But oh my god, looking at Ymir's memories, I hated that, and that was hard to watch. I hated that idea, and it was a little bit weird, to be honest, because you were still trying to piece together what was going on, but at the same time, you felt so bad for this girl. But you got the story of the Founding Titan, you got the story of Ymir. And we also got the big moment, right? The on your feet dad. Everybody was so confused. Nobody knew what was going on, and I must say, as much as everybody likes to glaze this moment, I'm going to glaze it as well. It was a jaw-dropping moment where they're looking through the different memories, and then Zeke just had to listen to Eren go, like, after, first of all, that entire scene that they got dropped into, we actually finally got to see the entire thing where Eren's dad was going to go kill everybody. And then Zeke's like, wait, what's going on? He actually ended up going through with it because he wasn't going to do it. And Eren's just like, on your feet, dad. And, like, this is what, I can't describe what they were doing, but, like, the way that Attack on Titan draws their characters, like the menace in Eren's eyes, right? Have you forgotten what you're here for? Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, chills, dude. I even have chills thinking about it. Like, this story is so good. That plot twist that Eren can actually influence those memories, oh my god. And then Zeke being confused too, with Grisha going, Zeke, you have to stop Eren. Oh my god, Zeke, I love you, Zeke, I'm sorry. Eren's gonna get everything that he wants. All of that was crazy. And then it just escalates from there because and I might have been going a little bit backwards, but it just escalates from that point too because we're brought back into paths. And then we're listening to King Fritz going like, oh, and giving this like big speech. It's like, oh my god, the Titans will always live on. And then Eren just interrupts it, just hugging Ymir, going, I'll end it here and now. I'll put an end to this world if you give me your strength. Like something like, you're just a person. You're not a slave. You shouldn't have to serve anyone. You can make your own choices. And then Zeke's kind of confused because he's like, Eren, what are you doing? Because Zeke was still like ultimately the one in control. And then I love the way it all went silent right after that like long speech. It was just done so perfectly. Eren's hugging her, desperate, right? And then as we're listening to the music start to build up, you can actually see the expression in Ymir's face, and she's starting to cry. And then the rumbling begins, and that just topped everything off. The rumbling actually beginning, that weird life centipede thing attaching Eren back together, and him turning into the Founding Titan. The music, the scream with the Titan and with Eren inside of it, all of it was done perfectly. And this is where it hits harder because Mikasa and Armin were on Eren's side at this. They thought that Eren was still going to be able to do something right, but then all of the walls fall. All of the Titans are there. And then they realize that there are way too many Titans. What the heck is Eren doing? Did we make the wrong decision? Eren started the rumbling. And all we have to go through right now is what he told Ymir. He's like, I will put an end to this world if you give me your strength. Crazy. That was, I couldn't believe what I was watching, man. But they do such a good job, honestly. They do such a good job just showing like the destruction of the rumbling, all of the people suffering, and how scary it is, what the clouds are looking like, things like that. I loved how Gabi had her moment to save Kaya too. Her character was just so good, man. And I couldn't believe that there are so many people like that hate Gabi out there. I don't know if they had their minds changed, but man, I thought she was such a phenomenal character, and she's like slowly, repenting for all of her sins and realizing and I don't remember what she ended up calling herself. She ended up hating herself and who she was, and she was slowly kind of making up for that. And I loved that. I loved that entire story. Like, anything that Gabby really did on the side, I was personally very invested with. But there was another thing where when all of the walls came down, all of the Titan hardening fell. So another episode ended off where after all of this happened, we forgot that Annie was around, and then it just cut to like Annie outside the crystal kind of like gagging or whatever she was doing, right? So Annie's back. I forgot that Annie was even a thing. That just goes to show how many pieces of the story are and how good it is. But in between all of that, we have a little bit of the story where Connie actually goes to feed Falco to the mom, and that was honestly pretty heartbreaking. I would do anything for my mom, man, but I don't think that I could sacrifice a child to save my mom. But then again, nobody's been put in that situation, right? Connie has had to watch for years his mom stay there, motionless, turned into a Titan, just lying there, right? I get his decision, but it wasn't the right decision to make. You can't sacrifice somebody like that. That was really heartbreaking. I didn't think that Connie was going to go through with it, but that was a nice story on the side too. But other than that, we finally have our main characters kind of unite and decide that we need to take on Eren. But Armin and Mikasa still, or maybe it was just Armin, still wants to talk to Eren to see if he can get him to stop doing this. We have an entire episode at a camp where everybody's kind of like feeling sorry for themselves. Everybody's realizing that everybody's flawed. Reiner especially kind of stood out, and he got the crap kicked out of him too. That was all really fun to watch, and it all kind of just set up for the scene at the port where they need to get on the boat, but the Jaegerists are in the way, and they end up having to horribly fight their own comrades, and all of that was heartbreaking too. The way Armin got shot too. Like, again, I wish there were some things from specific battles that I could really break down, but there isn't really anything that I could say besides, okay, they had to kill each other. That was hard to watch. It was cool seeing Annie back in action, but it was hard seeing all of these people that we were used to seeing for so long. And I guess, like, it's tough because everybody's so confused, right? There's so many different moving parts to it, and you don't want anybody to die, but it's something that had to be done. There was nothing that they could do, and the Jaegerists were going to kill Armin, and it was just a really, really tough situation in general. So there was only one thing that they could do, and that was take it by force. And before the final chapters, we also had the entire episode explaining how Eren got to Marley and all of that. Nothing really to break down there besides it was very weird to see, and I like the thing with the ice cream too. That was pretty funny. Other than that, it was weird to see them all drinking and actually smiling. Just like at the sea, it's super strange to see all of them laughing and smiling, especially Eren at this moment. The only thing that really stood out was Eren asked Mikasa what he meant to her, and Mikasa didn't admit that she loved him, and that could have just changed the entire course of the show. I don't know why she wouldn't, but you could blame Mikasa for everything. It's kind of like her. It's kind of like her Star-Lord moment punching Thanos. Like, he could have just stopped everything, but it didn't work out. But that does bring us to the final chapters of Attack on Titan, and if you're interested, I do have an authentic reaction to that, because while everything that I'm talking about was a rewatch that I just touched on, I did upload videos about my reaction and breakdown to all of the final chapters as they were coming out. So the video that I'm going to point you to continues on with this, and it is my authentic reaction to watching these final chapters for the first time, and I would love to have you over here at this video. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Take care, guys.